decided to come out by the water to read and also to just like enjoy the weather. We have been under this like weird advisory where it's like super windy, and today is the first day that we haven't had like wild winds where we're under like a wind advisory. It hopefully isn't too windy because I feel like every time I pick up the camera the wind just decides to go wild. This is also one of the few trees that is not dead yet, so I'm going to try to set up my blanket and show you guys the books that we're going to be reading this week. I want to read sad books this week, and I think it's just because I am in a very good space mentally, and whenever that happens I gravitate towards books that are of like a different mood or like vibe of like what I'm feeling. So yeah, we're gonna set up underneath this tree. You see that lady that just walked past who is in a coat? That's how I honestly it should be, because it is pretty chilly, but I feel like I'm just being rebellious because I want to enjoy the weather before it's like freezing cold, and I feel like by spring this weather to me is warm, so I just have to keep telling myself it's really not that bad. I also want to show you guys the book that I'm starting with. I am a little nervous to start this book because I've heard from so many people that it just absolutely will gut you, and I am going to start Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. There goes that wind again. One of these days maybe I'll buy a like mic. I just get so nervous whenever I use a mic. Like I just clam up, I stop talking like a normal human. But in the Midwest it is very, very, very windy, and you guys know that I film outside a ton, so I never want you guys to like not be able to hear. But it also is kind of like hard to like get outside and talk when it is windy like this. But I'm gonna start Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I've read one book by her. I read Monday's Not Coming. Such an incredible book, like truly such an incredible book. I will never get over it. Her stories are young adult stories, but they're the only young adult stories that I feel honestly are like can intermingle between like adult fiction / like young adult. Like I just feel like the topics are so powerful, so needed to be talked about. So I'm starting this. This is supposed to be like a play on all of the celebrities who are like just grooming young women, and it talks about a girl who is like wanting to be a singer, and she meets this legendary artist called Corey Fields. And he's like, oh, I can make you a singer, I can make you famous, like all these things. And in that, he ends up, I think, just taking away her childhood. So on the back, it does say that, it says, when legendary R&B artist Corey Fields spots Enchanted Jones at an audition, her dreams of being a famous singer take flight until Enchanted wakes up with blood on her hands and zero memory of the previous night. Who killed Corey Fields? So we already know that like someone's going to die by the end of this, so it'll be really interesting to see how this goes. Again, I've read Monday's Not Coming and loved it, and I have this book, and I also have one other book on my TBR, or two other books by her, The Weight of Blood and allegedly by her, that I want to read. So I figured why not just jump into this one. Again, I heard it's very sad, so let's get into it. I came home to an Instacart order with my food that I'm gonna be making for Thanksgiving. And I also have some thoughts on this book. And I also have a book haul, so lots of things. But let's start with this book. I don't know if I was ready. I don't know if I was ready. I'm already 200 pages in because I genuinely cannot put this book down. I will say it's a super fast read. Like, there aren't a ton of words on each page, so it goes really, really quickly, and I definitely am gonna finish this book today. I didn't know that I was ready because, or I didn't know if I can't even speak. I don't know if I'm ready for this book because it's literally taking me back to a time when I was like talking to an older guy, and like all of the things that are in this book were either said to me or I like felt. And I think that this is such a powerful read for young adults, especially because you don't really know when you're either being groomed or when a guy is like just giving you lines. Like when you're young and in love or seemingly in love, or you are just like really inexperienced, you just have never heard the lines before. You know what I mean? You don't know that what they're saying is a line. You don't know that you're being manipulated, and you can so easily see that happening in this story. I do think that this is a powerful story, not only for young adults, but for adults too, because we're seeing how often this happens and how like much it happens like in our actual media, like in real life. But when you read about it, I feel like it makes it even more real, because in real life, like people talk about, you know, the R. Kellys or, you know, whoever allegedly, I say allegedly because, you know, you never know who's watching these videos, but we talk about those things, but the way that we talk about it isn't as if they're in the wrong most of the time. It's as if there is some kind of like, I don't know, and I say we, not me, but like as a society, like we almost talk about it as if it's not something we truly believe. And I think that we're gonna see a lot of that in this book, where there's like speculation. It's like, well, like, did it really happen? Like, we don't really know. And this book is just such a great book. I can't wait to finish it to like give my full thoughts, because I kind of feel like I know where this is going, but I again also don't know where it's going. I feel like I know where it's going because the back, it literally goes, who killed Corey Fields? That's what it says on the back of the book. But I don't know where it's going because I don't know if the main character is gonna like continue to want to be with him or not. Like, you're kind of left in the open as to like what she's gonna do. And I don't know, it also shows how easily someone can be manipulated, and how like the person who is being manipulated, it just happens so slowly that you almost don't even like realize it's happening. Like, as a reader, there isn't one moment where I'm like, get out. You know what I mean? Like, there are moments where I'm like, she should probably like leave. But there isn't really one moment where I feel like get out, or if I do feel like, okay, maybe it's time to go, it doesn't feel like there's a right time, or like an easy way to get out. And I guess that just is like even more of like the reality of what a lot of people go through. And it's really good. So again, I only have like 160 something pages left, so not very many pages, just like 160 something. So I will give you guys an update on that. I feel like I'll definitely finish it tonight, just because it's a book I genuinely cannot put down. And Monday's Not Coming was kind of like that too. Tiffany D. Jackson is just such an incredible author. Oh my gosh, I know what this book is. I'm so excited. Okay. You know, I'm always looking for books by Black authors and books that I feel like aren't hyped up nearly enough, and just like small authors and stuff. And this book, I don't even remember how I found this. It's called All That You Are. It's by a Black author, and it looks so good. It says that, I don't want to like spoil anything, so I'm just gonna probably read the back. But it says, All That You Are, a heartwarming and emotional novel. A beautifully written inspirational story with relatable characters, Alicia Roper's All That You Are dares readers to explore the limits of love. When soulmates Athena and Caden get some startling news that threatens to separate them forever and turn their lives upside down, they must accept and attempt to cope with the sobering reality that their uncertain future holds. With POC, blended families, true crime elements, and a beautiful romance that leaves the reader in awe, it's hard not to get attached to this enthralling book that captivates its audience with every twist and turn of the plot. This coming-of-age novel tells the story of Athena and Caden. Caden is strong-willed and selfless. He puts the needs of his family and friends above his own. Athena is a firecracker with a kind-hearted soul. As they go through the journey of life, you will see how Athena and Caden bring comfort to each other as they learn to cope and mend with the pain of loss and heartbreak. Book 1 of 2 in the All We Are series. I don't even know how I found this book. Like, I genuinely don't. It just looks so good, and I cannot wait to read it. This also isn't a super long read. It's only like 232 pages, so I feel like I'll finish it super fast. I love an emotional and heartfelt read. I will say this is giving summer, like the cover, but it says it's emotional and heartfelt, and I feel like if that's the case, I'm going to want to read this now. Like, I don't really like reading super emotional, heartfelt books in summer. Like, I mean, I do sometimes, it just depends on my mood, but like the fluffy, cutesy reads, I really enjoy those in summer. Yeah, this looks really good. And the chapters are really short, which is perfect. So I will link this book below if you guys want to pick it up. There's also a playlist in it. Oh, this looks so good. This whole book looks so good. I cannot wait to read this. So anyway, had to show that to you guys. I'm gonna go into the kitchen and we're gonna put away some of the stuff that I have in there. I will say that I'm quite literally running out of space on my bookshelf, and just thinking about where I'm gonna put this new book is actually making my head spin. I think I'm gonna place it up here because there's like a little bit of space up here, but like, I don't know. This is why you guys always see me like going to free libraries and dropping things off, because yes, I love books and I love to read, and there are so many incredible books that I want to read, but I genuinely do not have enough space in my house. And my Kindle obviously was stolen recently, so like I can't even read on my Kindle now, so that makes it like even more imperative that I want to like buy the book versus just like read it on my Kindle. I did get some stuff from the grocery store, and I'm gonna try to take this out and put it away. I have plans for what I want to make on Thanksgiving. Like, I don't even really know what we're doing for sure on Thanksgiving, which has actually been kind of like putting me into not the best headspace, but I've been trying to just remind myself that like, I don't know, I still can have a good holiday even though it looks different this year than everyone else's. We're planning on going to Brady's side of the family for a little bit. I'm not sure if my sister's gonna be off work or not. I would love for us to get together, but I just need to like hear what her schedule looks like. She's still like kind of looking into it. I think I'm gonna go see my older brother, which I know I've shared with you guys in the past, but I don't know if I have like shared recently. He has struggled with some just like mental health issues in the past, and he's doing really well now, and I feel like having just a good supportive family is so helpful. So I'm gonna go see him on Thanksgiving morning. When we hang out, it's fun, but I think that whenever we're hanging out, I'm always trying to be very conscious of like making sure that he's okay, you know? And I don't know, I think just having Thanksgiving, obviously without my dad, having him like be gone, like since he's passed, and like my mom isn't coming back until Christmas. It's just been really, really, really hard. I am in a great headspace today, like as of right this second. And I think it's because like, I just know she's coming back for Christmas. I've been trying to like focus a lot on that. But as the holiday gets closer and it like looms, it definitely is something that has been not making me like, not making me the happiest. But again, I always like to be real on this like vlog and just like share my real feelings. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, like, are people gonna wanna see like me not being like my happiest and stuff? And like, are people gonna be receptive of that? Because again, I know that YouTube is a space where people come to escape. So like, I get it. Like, I 100% get it. But again, I do want to be like fully transparent. So sharing all of my feelings and the whole breadth of them, I think is really important to me. Again, I will say that I've been in a pretty good headspace, like recently. I just think as it gets closer, I start to feel this like impending feeling of like, Thanksgiving is gonna be sad, it's not gonna be what it was, like I wish that we could go back. And I don't know if anyone else has been feeling like this heavy, and maybe it's just because this whole year has been very different for me, but I've been feeling this heavy feeling of just like missing how it used to be when I was younger, like missing running down on Christmas Day, like all my siblings and like us just being like, can we open the gifts, can we open the gifts? And missing like my mom's cooking for Thanksgiving, my dad's laugh, and like just the small things that you'll like never really be able to get back in that same way ever again. And if you're someone who's living at home, whether you're living at home because you're like wanting to save money to buy a house, or you're living home because you're like still in high school or college or whatever, cherish that time. And I know that sounds probably so weird because when I was in high school, I was like, I cannot wait to get out and like live on my own and be an adult, but you never get to go back to that time where you're all under one roof. Like even if one person moves home for whatever reason, like all of your siblings don't get to like all move back at the same time. Like it's just very rare that anything like that would ever happen. So you don't get to remake those memories again. And like when everyone moves out, like I have 5 siblings and we're all very, very close. When everyone moves out, it's like everyone has their own lives. So like you're kind of just going about your life with your family, and like then you get married, and like my 2 oldest sisters, they both have kids, and you know, my sister and her husband, they live in New Orleans. So like they won't be back for Thanksgiving, but I think they might be back for Christmas. But again, they have his family, so they have to be like very cautious of making sure they make time for his family too. So just things like that, you know, you have to be cognizant of when you're in a relationship with someone who's also close with their family. So I don't know, it just is never the same. And I just feel like it's so easy to take for granted what you have. I will also say, this is something I've been really leaning into too. It's easy to take for granted what you have in this moment, like right now. Like for me, even though I'm feeling the nostalgia of like missing my family and how it used to be and like missing all the things, I've been trying really, really hard to think about what I have right now that I might not have in the future. So like I know I've talked to you guys about how like my thoughts on like kids have like definitely changed. I'm like very open and like have that desire to have kids and like be a mom and stuff, which like wasn't something in the past that I was like really even thinking of. I do think, again, part of my like shift in perspective is seeing how like caring for someone is not always a burden. And I think I always thought that it was. I always thought that responsibility was a burden, and I felt like the only way to have freedom was through independence. And my views on that have totally changed. But also, I think that just seeing how close I've been with my family and like all those memories, as you know, wild as they are with like, you know, 6 kids under one roof with 2 parents, they're also beautiful too, and like just incredible. And I think the last few years with like, you know, all that happened with my brother, which I don't know if you guys, again, I talked about it like literally 3 years ago. I don't think I've brought it up since, but and this is like a trigger warning for anyone with like mental health, suicide, like struggles, just skip this like the next 30 seconds. But he tried to take his own life, and whenever we called 911 to get help, they like thought that he was a threat to everyone else. So instead of giving him aid, they just like shot him on sight. So having to work through that like trauma has been something that has been a very, very hard thing for me to do, because like right after it happened, like I showed up, and like my mom and like brother and all of us were like very emotional because like they were there, and like then he was in the hospital for like 6 months because he was in critical condition. And then after that, he was in like different placements to like get him mental help, and you know, trying to fight this court case because like they were wanting to like put charges on him and like all these different things. And I think the last few years when people are like, oh, like have you wanted to have kids? I'm like, I'm barely like existing right now. Like I am trying to help with this situation, but I'm also seeing my mom be a caretaker for my dad, who, you know, is like really, you know, losing a lot of his mobility. He's not like walking anymore, and then now he's in a wheelchair, and he went from a cane to a wheelchair, and then, you know, now he needs someone to help feed him and change him. And like all of that has happened in probably the last 3 years. And it all felt like so much. And we've only been in like back in Springfield, which is like where we live now, for a few years. Like we've only been here for a total of, I think, 5 or 6 years. So shortly after like Brady moves here, me and Brady move here and he starts his business, it's like thing after thing after thing. So I think now that life feels like peaceful and settled and like somewhat normal, I'm able to really look at like my life from like a, what's it called? A different perspective, like a better lens. And I think seeing how much has changed is sad, but also it's like good because good things are happening. And so I've been trying to remind myself that like right now, maybe you miss how things used to be like when you were younger, but there are also things that you will probably miss in the future. Like right now, like me and Brady having like our relationship with just us is a beautiful thing. And also like having this connection with his family and like being able to be an hour from them. And like, you know, whenever my mom does come back in town, like the moments that we spend with each other are very intentional. And I just feel like I've been on this journey of being more vulnerable and being more in tune with my own feelings and connecting with friends and making new friends and putting myself out there and all of these things. Like I started Pilates this year. I met more friends in the last 2 years, I think, that I've ever met in my entire life, but it's because I was open to people. Like, and I have this fear of like people just like not accepting me, and like I'm very much a people pleaser, and I've let go of a lot of that. I'm still working on it, but again, I've just been reminding myself of that specifically this week so that I can be like, okay, life is good. Like life is good. So if you're someone who's maybe struggling, especially this holiday season, really try to tap into like what is going well in your life right now in comparison to previous years versus what used to be great and how like right now sucks, you know what I mean? So I have a bunch of groceries here. I want to show you guys what I got. I have lots of things here, as you guys can see. I got these dish pods. These are what we use in our dishwasher. I also have some strawberries, and I'm gonna try to make a little strawberry like glaze to go on top of cheesecake. My grandma has a super special cheesecake recipe that she literally gives to like no one unless you're married. And so I got it a few years ago. So I don't make it nearly as much as I feel like I should. I also got some salmon. We're gonna eat that tonight. Got lots of veggies, and I also got I got this for the cheesecake, but I also bought these graham crackers because the recipe my grandma gave me literally says do not use the graham cracker like pie tins from the store, but if I can't make this, I'm using that. Like I haven't made this recipe in years, so I don't even know if I can remember how to make the like graham cracker crust or whatever for the cheesecake. And I also got some lemons, so I'm gonna put that in the glaze. Lots of cheese, so I'm gonna make mac and cheese. I always make mac and cheese every year for Thanksgiving. And then I got these little tins that I'm gonna put everything into so that I don't have to deal with like, you know, actual dishes going to people's houses. I'm gonna put this away and then get back to reading my book. I feel like I'm gonna finish it. Like it has been really good so far, and I have not wanted to put it down, so I feel like I'm gonna finish it super fast and then we can start another book. There have been a couple moments in the book where I'm like, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna cry. And I'm just like, don't do it, it's too early. Cause like I still have 150 pages left. So we'll see how I feel once I get into it a little bit more. So I finished this book and I'm reading the author, or I read the author's note, and I didn't realize that she is like sharing this story but also has a personal experience. She said, my first boyfriend was 22 years old and I was 15, which is so similar to like my experience that I kind of shared. And it's just wild how many people have similar experiences. And like, I love what she wrote. She said it was exciting and invigorating to be considered so beautiful and adult, like everything a teen girl dreams of being seen as. But ultimately, I knew it wasn't right. The sneaking around, the lying. Still at that age, I should not have been the first to come to that conclusion. Although I did go to a predominantly white high school in Westchester and was in Jack and Jill, I want to be clear, this book is completely a work of fiction. If you've read Allegedly or Monday's Not Coming, you already know this book was inspired by a case. But this book is not about R. Kelly, nor is it a recount of his allegations. This book is about the abuse of power. It's about the pattern of excusing grown men for their behavior while faulting young girls for their missteps. It's about the blatant criticism of girls who were victims of manipulation. It's about holding the right person accountable for the crime he committed. It's about corporations attempting to silence victims, continuing to profit off of the very monster they helped create. About the individuals who are meant to protect and serve, never believing victims in the moments of bravery. It's about girls trying to defend themselves against the world and the possibility of similar situations happening to anyone, even to girls from two-parent households. This book is not about R. Kelly. It's about adults who know the difference between right and wrong, because no matter where you stand on the issue, he knew better. It is possible to have a loving relationship full of mutual respect and good intentions, but if you ever feel like you're in a situation like Enchanted, where you're being used, threatened, sexually coerced, or you simply feel uncomfortable, please seek help right away. I love that she added that line, because I know that there probably are people who've had relationships that are healthy, but I think for me, like when I think of my previous experience, it was very much giving, like, oh, like you haven't done this before, like let me teach you, like, you know, very much giving grooming. And I think that at the time I didn't really recognize like the small signs of like, okay, this person's saying that they love me and that they like want to be with me forever, but they only want to like meet up with me and like be in the back of their car, or they only want to like meet up at night. Like they're not trying to like hang out during the day. And I remember there were so many times I was like, oh, we should go see a movie, or like, you know, we should do something like normal. And they're like, oh, like I'm busy, I can't do that, but like maybe we can meet up after this thing and like, you know, go to my car or whatever. And I was someone who hadn't like had a lot of experience like just physically with guys. And so I spent a lot of my life being very intentional about who I was like doing things with. And I don't know, I wish that I had had maybe a little bit more, like, not education, but like a little bit more. And again, I'm not blaming myself, because I don't want to blame myself, because obviously it is their fault. Like, they are the person who decided to, you know, come into my life and, you know, act as if like I was the love of their life and was going to be their future wife or whatever. And I remember like my mom finding out and like breaking us up. Thank God, because I was like, he's like my forever, like I'm gonna be in love with him, like, or I'm so in love with him. And like in Illinois, you can legally be with someone who's like over 18 when you're 17. And I was like 16 at the time, but I was like, I'm almost 17, like, you know, then it'll be legal. But at the time, I can't remember exactly, because this was so long ago. I can't remember if he was 25 or 26 or 23, but either way, he was past college age. And I always think about people based on like life experience. So like if you are like 27 and 32 or 35, that to me feels normal, because like you're in a very similar stage of life, versus if you're like 23 with someone who's like 18, that feels very different, even though you're close in age. You know what I mean? It's just like an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, 15-year-old has never like been really on their own. Like their decisions are being mostly made by people around them, whether it's their teachers or parents or whatever. Like I just got my license, you know, like I was just getting behind a car to drive for the first time, whereas this person had already went to college, had like could legally drink, knew how to drive, and like that to me felt cool because I'm like, they're choosing me, like I'm cool, like there's something about me that's like innately like beautiful because they see me as that and they're older, not knowing that like that's not cool, like that is not okay. And I don't know, I think books like this are so powerful because if I had read something like this, I think that one, I probably would have been like, well, like my situation's a little bit different, so like the situation may have been the exact same, but I do think that books like this help people recognize what's like not normal. And like in this book, there's two characters who are with like older people, and one person is with someone who I'm pretty sure is like a fairly healthy relationship, but they're like older. So they do like show that in this. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this is interesting. I do think that it's made me think a lot about like my life. I also am very glad that I did have some semblance of sense to kind of like put the brakes on a lot of things, like physically, and because I don't know, like I just, those things are special to me, like when you open yourself up physically to a person or just emotionally. And not me dropping another book. And I definitely did that with them, but there were a lot of things that I did not do, which I'm very appreciative of. Like the first person that I've ever like had sex with, and the only person I've ever had sex with, was Brady. And I just like feel like that connection is like so cool to be able to be like, this is the one person who I trust fully and openly enough to like open up myself in that way too. And I do think that I was very vulnerable emotionally with this guy, and like I definitely wish that that weren't the case. I used to be really big into poetry, and I would like write poems about like how I felt and stuff. And I don't know, I just shared a lot of that with him, which literally makes me just be like, oh, this guy did not care. This guy was like, can we be in the back of my car or what? And I don't know, just reading this has made me think a lot about that. And I remember at the time I was so like angry with my mom, being like, this is the love of my life, like you're like breaking us apart. And literally I remember she like showed up where we were at, and she was like, if you don't like lose my daughter's number and like never see her again, I'm immediately calling the cops. And never heard from him again. Never heard not one word again. And you know, that just goes to show, it's like he knew what he was doing wasn't right. But it's also wild that the spaces I was in with that person, so many other people saw us together, and they like, no one said anything about it. And so I don't know, I just think this is a very, very powerful book. I did start this book. My bookmark is in here. I wanted to talk about this one before I jumped into this one. I definitely think I'm going to rate Grown 4 stars. Very powerful read. Her books are so good. I've read Monday's Not Coming, and again, that was a 4-star read for me too. I started Luster. I don't really know if this is a sad book or not. I think it's sad for the things that most people don't like see as super sad. Does that make sense? Like I feel like this book is going to be sad because the main character doesn't really like value herself in a lot of ways. And that to me is sad. I don't think it's like sad where like, you know, someone dies or anything like that. Or maybe someone does, I don't know. But I just am kind of going into this book expecting it to be more sad because like she doesn't have love for herself in the way that she should. I am on page 58, and this book is unhinged. Like one of you guys actually, I was telling you I wanted to read this because it reminds me of You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. Not because the story's the same, but because the vibe seems like it's similar. They're both stories about a girl who kind of doesn't really have her life together, and you see her try to navigate life and like not make the best decisions. I've actually been gravitating towards those types of books a lot lately, and I think it's because reading books like this make my decisions feel okay, because you end up seeing these people like by the end of the book, they haven't figured it out, but like that's fine, because the journey of life is the joy in it. And I feel like it makes me feel like, okay, I don't have to make the perfect decision. I don't have to make the best decision all the time. Like, it's okay if I make the wrong decision. Like, life is still gonna continue to move on. So I've just been gravitating towards those books a lot. And I think in this season of transition, like with my mom moving and like after my dad passing, and I feel totally different than when this year first started. Like, I genuinely feel like a completely different person. And with all of that, I feel like it can feel a little like I'm off my, like off kilter. Like, I'm like, what direction am I gonna go? Like, am I making the right decisions because I'm kind of leaning into what I want to do now and my perspective now versus like things I wanted to do in the past or what was important to me then. So reading books like this, it's like, it's okay to change, make the wrong decision, like all that stuff. But this girl, okay, so I knew going into this book that it was going to be about a girl who is hooking up with this guy who's in an open relationship. So that was like really the reason why I was like, okay, I'll probably read this. And then one of you guys was like, well, it's actually kind of sad. It's not really like You Made a Fool with Death with Your Beauty. It's like a kind of sad story. I was like, oh, that's different. I didn't know that. I just thought it was about someone in an open relationship. And I actually have a friend who is in an open marriage, and so like I don't really know much about that like lifestyle, so I'm always interested to just like read different things. So anyway, reading about this girl who's with this guy who's in this open marriage, I was like, okay, whatever, they're doing their thing. The way she talks about herself isn't really very highly, so I'm just like, maybe she has low self-esteem. This girl goes somewhere, and I can't say anything because I'm not going to spoil it, but she goes somewhere she should have, like, she has no business being. And I'm thinking, are you okay? Like, are you mentally like stable up there? Because why did you go there? And I'm only on page 58, but I'm really hooked into this. And it was Barack Obama's favorite book of the year, which is kind of cool. So it makes me like want to read it even more. I will say there is not very much dialogue, so it's pretty like dense, which is kind of hard for me to read because you guys know I really enjoy dialogue. But this book it has me hooked. I'm like, what is this girl gonna do? Like, because she went to this place that I did not think she would ever go. And now I'm like, we're just starting the book. Like, what else is she gonna do? I don't have any framework for what type of person she is, so I'm like, she's so unhinged she could just really do anything. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this book goes, but I'm liking it so far. There's only 227 pages and I'm already on page 58, so I feel like I'll probably finish this book today too. I just got done with my workout, and guys, I got the sweetest gift from the girls at the gym. I did not want to cry again. They gave these to me because they're like, we know that this holiday season is going to be so hard, and obviously last year was hard, but they were so sweet last year. They gave me like a bunch of food, and after the funeral, because obviously like our like whenever my dad passed, the funeral was like the first or the second week of November, and they gave us a ton of food that like lasted for weeks. Like all of them just like made homemade food, and they gave this to me after the workout, and they're like, we just like, you know, want you to know that like you're not alone. Like, and it's not even the flowers. Like, the flowers are beautiful, but it's not even the flowers. It's like the fact that a year later, like, I still have a community that is just so like aware that like life is hard and wants me to know that like I don't have to go it alone by myself. I've been going to the same gym for about 4.5 years now, and I want to encourage you, if you're not part of a community, get like, what are you doing? Become a part of a community, whether it's like a knitting group, a workout group. And the way to do that is to like go to the same thing at the same time. I feel like a lot of people try to build community, but they'll like go to the gym, like the same gym, but at different times, or they'll go to a Pilates class, but at different times. Like, you can't meet the same people unless you're like going pretty frequently at the same time, same teacher, whatever, same class, same book club, you know? But I just feel very grateful for these because, again, like, I haven't even really let myself like cry this holiday season. I've been very sad, but I feel like I haven't let myself cry because I almost feel like if I let myself cry that I'm just not going to be able to stop. And I immediately started just like crying after I got these and like went to the car, because this year is hard, and I should give myself credit for not only like being able to be like somewhat functioning, but also to have made it to this like year, or made it through this year. And my mom, she's not coming home for Thanksgiving, and I actually just texted my sister because Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and like I don't know if we're getting together or not. I've texted her a few times, but like she went through this like really hard breakup. She's with this guy for a while, and like I think she's just like being kind of like, you know, just struggling with that. And so I've like let her know like, hey, you know, I'm here for you, and like we've hung out and like had picnics and stuff. I think you guys saw that in the vlog, but maybe she doesn't want to do anything, I don't know. And then my older brother, the one that I like shared, them for sure gonna see. Again, it's more of like a, I want to see him, but it's like different. It's more of like, I want to make sure that you're okay type of thing. And so it's nice having a group of people that are like, we want to make sure you're okay, and like you're not alone, and like it is just so thoughtful of them. So feeling very emotional, but like in a good way, like very happy to have built this community. And I know years ago, younger me would have been so happy that I have a group of people who is like so encouraging and just like kind and thoughtful. And I might go to the gym tomorrow morning. They have a 7 o'clock class, but like that's like the only class of the day. So like I don't know if I'm gonna like make it or not, because obviously it's Thanksgiving Day. But I just am feeling so grateful to have the community of people that I do in my life. And if you're someone who's struggling and you feel very isolated and very alone, I really encourage you to get in some type of community, and not really for the purpose of like needing to lean on them, because I do think that like therapy is incredibly important. But I think just for the purpose of having people that you care about and that care about you and can make you feel like you're not just like out on this deserted island by yourself. Like I know if I texted one of them, like I didn't have any plans, like with Brady or something, I mean, that would literally never happen. But like if I didn't, I could text one of them and be like, hey, can I come over for Thanksgiving? And like they'd be like, yeah. And it's just because over the past few years, like we've built this community, and like we don't even really hang out for real. Like sometimes we'll do like a pool day once in a summer at somebody's house, or we always do like a Christmas dinner and like a Friendsgiving, but that's pretty much it. Like we don't really hang out. And sometimes on people's birthdays, we'll like get breakfast after we work out. But like we don't really hang out. But like when you see people that much, you begin to build a connection with them. And like, again, it's been like 4.5 years, and it was actually, one of the girls, it was her daughter's birthday, it was her 4th birthday. And I was like, oh my God, it's so crazy. Her birthday's today, because when I started at the gym, you had just brought her in a little carrier, and like, she was so little. And like, now they're going to be able to see me one day being a mom and like bringing my kids in, or like their kids, you know, who are going off to graduation, like, you know, I'm able to go and support them in that. And it's just like cool to grow with people, but you can't really grow and build community if you're not like a part of one. So you don't even really have to do too much to be a part of it. Like, again, we don't like hang out, we're not like constantly texting or anything. We do have this group chat that like people put like random like memes and stuff in, but I think just like being around people creates community, and you don't really have to do too much to like make it be something. It just kind of creates it on its own. So, yeah, I feel very, very grateful for that. just so incredibly grateful. It is so late, but I just got done with making my cheesecake for tomorrow. I did burn the outside of the cheesecake a bit, so the cheesecake itself though is fine. This is actually a recipe that my grandma gave to me, and well, she gave it to my mom gave it to me, and it's only a recipe that you can get when you're married. So like people will literally be like, I want this recipe so bad, and like you can't get it until you're married because she doesn't want it to like get outside of the family. My mom actually used to make this cheesecake, and like people would be like, please, I need you to make this for my like holidays. Like they'd be like, I'll pay, like anything. Like it's so good. It does take forever to make. So, you know, it isn't something that I make a lot, but I made two to take to Brady's family tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Technically like today, because I think it's like almost 1 a.m. It's like 10 to 1. Also the mac and cheese. I actually put a Q&A up on stories to see if I should like make the food at night or if I should make it in the morning. But I decided to make it tonight because I'm actually gonna go to a 7 a.m. workout tomorrow. And there's no way that I'm gonna go to that workout, come back, and then like make 2 cheesecakes and a mac and cheese. Like there's just no way. So I made this, but it still has 15 more minutes that it needs in the stove. It is so good. I tried it already. It like has smoked cheese on top, so it has like a smoky taste to it. I make it every year. My mom always was like, you know, I don't need to even make mac and cheese anymore because you do such a good job. So made that. Also ended up finishing these 2 books. We already talked about this one. This one I was not like surprised by how incredible it was because I've read books by her before and they're truly so good. If you've never read anything by her, please pick up one of her books. And oh my gosh, what is that? Oh my gosh, not the strawberries. I was like, what is that noise? Oh my gosh. I'm making a strawberry puree tomorrow. It has 3 more minutes left. I'm gonna take it off for a second so you guys can see. It's gonna go on top of the cheesecake. Like turn that down a bit. I was like, what is that noise? I actually heard a noise and kind of got scared. And I was like, is someone in the house with me? Like I know Brady went to bed, but like what's going on? It was that. Okay, I feel better. But yeah, so this right here, so good. If you've never read anything by Tiffany G. Jackson, please pick up a book by her. You will not want to put it down. I finished this in 24 freaking hours. I also finished this super fast too. This one, I feel like it was a little bit harder to read because there isn't very much dialogue. The main character, it's a sad book in the sense that like her life is very sad. And I think that this made me realize that you like never really know what people are going through. Like there's a point in this book where she literally like lets this guy punch her in the face. I can't even remember if I said that on the vlog yet. And he's just like, oh, I'm just like so mad. Like I would punch you right now. And she's like, you can do it. And she literally just like lets him punch her in the face. And that is a perfect representation of like how she is as a character. And I think going into this, I honestly just expected it to be a story about an open marriage. And it's so much more than that. I think I'm gonna rate this one like 3.5 stars maybe. I haven't decided where it's gonna land. I think the story itself would be great for a book club. I do think that it's kind of hard to read because there isn't a ton of dialogue. So that's kind of where the rating isn't like super high. Just kind of in the mid-level because of that. Really love both these books and loved reading sad books this week. Hope you guys enjoyed hanging out here. I actually just put up a podcast where I talked all about like me and my life because I realized that I shared so many things in this vlog about me that I haven't shared like in a really long time. But again, I always want to be like vulnerable with you guys, and I feel like that's a way for us to connect. I was talking on my podcast, I was like, and I always link it in the description. I was like, I don't know if anyone knows, like I was homeschooled up until college, or like, I don't know if anyone knows that I grew up with like chickens and horses. Like there's so many parts of me that I feel like I haven't shared like anywhere on the internet, but I feel like videos like this where I like read a book and it resonates with something that I've experienced or something so deep in my soul that has like been hidden and I haven't shared yet, allows me to like open up and for us to get closer. And I just really appreciate that you guys have made this such a safe space. So Vlogmas is coming soon. You guys are gonna get so many great videos, and I know that you guys are gonna love them. So be on the lookout for that. The 1st through the 12th, you'll get a video every single day. Most of the videos are between 30 to 40 minutes. There's a few that are like 15, 20. I try to make a sprinkle of different types of videos because I know that you guys are gonna be watching other people's Vlogmas videos, but you guys will also get videos that are an hour and a half long and stuff like that too. So it's a good mix, and I hope you guys are excited. Comment below if you are, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.